There are two kind of Soul Eater fans. Those who have read the manga, and those who wake up in a cold sweat wondering, wait, that was the ending? This show had everything, from spooky aesthetics and killer animation, and not to mention characters with fits that make Hot Topic employees weep with joy, or bare minimum, Spirit Store employees once a year. But here's the thing, it never got the ending it deserved. The anime took a hard turn left, completely skipping over the true finale. And man, that final we got in the anime was definitely a finale. It definitely was the end of it.
God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy. You get your goddamn ugly ass.
And yet, even with all that, Soul Eater still lingers in the back of fans' minds. Like that one weird dream you had as a kid about the clown. So let's go back to where it all began. Not the dream. Well, no, not the dream. You need to go to a therapist about that one. Get some help. I'm worried about you. No, we're going back to the beginning because Soul Eater deserves another shot. So I'm Remy, and I just want to know if anyone's checked on Soul Eater, and if not, let's. Stepping into the world of Soul Eater feels like taking your first step into madness and clarity at the same time. At first, you think you get it, cool weapons, spooky settings, and some quirky characters, and a mission to keep the world balanced. But then you blink, and suddenly, the moon's grinning at you, and reality starts to bend in ways that shouldn't make sense. The deeper you go, the more you realize that understanding isn't the point. It's about embracing the chaos. Soul Eater's core philosophy thrives in contradiction. The line between order and insanity is razor thin, and the scariest part? Sometimes you don't even know which side you're on. Madness isn't just an enemy, it's a temptation. Power isn't just a goal, it's a burden. And these people who look like villains might be the only one who really get what's going on here. It's the kind of storytelling that lures you in with its stylish Halloween core aesthetic, and then makes you question your own grip on sanity. Which, to be fair, was not what I was expecting when Funimation dropped this show in 2010. I mean, these are the same guys that were pushing Hatelia and Or and Host Cub. All of a sudden, hey, here's Soul Eater. And you're like, whoa, wait, what? Why is Hayden kind of different? And that's exactly why it stuck with us. Before Soul Eater became the goth kid shonen masterpiece we know it as today, its creator, Ōkubo, was just another aspiring mangaka who had just put out his first series, Be Ichi. And you know, that exists. That's about the nicest way to put it. He was definitely figuring out his style with this one, but then in 2003, Soul Eater debuted in Monthly Shonen Jump Gangan, say that 3 times fast, and it immediately stood out from the crowd. It had a world that looked like a Halloween fever dream, characters that felt alive, and a combat system built around jazz, literally and figuratively. Like when that piano came out, you knew it was time to get active. Ōkubo wasn't just making a manga, he was creating an experience, and one so strong that even today, anime fans are still talking about it. And one of the major reasons fans are even still talking about it is because of Fire Force. Have you ever looked at Fire Force and thought, man, this kind of feels like Soul Eater? That's not a coincidence. That's Ōkubo. Like, literally, he's the author of the series, so it makes sense. And that plays a huge role later, but we'll get to that when we get to it. And it doesn't stop at just Fire Force. He's inspired other up-and-coming artists, like creators of I'm not gonna pronounce this right, guys. Y'all saw the Girl Lagan video. Pronunciations ain't my strong point. I'ma try. I will try, but they are not my strong point. Gachi Akuta, I'm pretty sure I just butchered it. Whatever, we're gonna throw the name on screen. Pronounce it yourself.
Gachiakuta.
I know I'm bad. We're gonna keep it pushing. If you ever seen any of the artwork from this manga, you understand what I'm talking about when it comes to the stylization and the formatting of the panels in this manga. Side note, if you haven't heard, this is getting an anime, and I'm so excited for this, by the way. If y'all haven't seen it, it's super good. It's super interesting. World's fun. Premise is fun. Power system is interesting. I think it's just a good time. Hopefully it does really well. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, if you read this manga, you're aware of the similarities between this and Fire Force and Soul Eater. The wild exaggerations, the unapologetically weird stylization and character design. This manga needs you to see it because it wants you to know it. It's unabashedly weird and it's more unique for it. And because of those super unique factors, this world is also like the world of Soul Eater, which we should talk about. A great world is nothing without great characters. And man, this anime/manga has some of the best characters in fiction. The bad guys are all crazy. The good guys are all crazy. The neutral parties are all crazy. And then there's Excalibur, who's like a lot. But like, I'll save him for later, mostly the spoiler section, but he is a lot. Anyway, Let's talk about the strongest group of idiots in this series. First off, we have Maka and Soul, a scythe-wielding honor student and a jazz-loving weapon. Name a more iconic duo. They're the main characters of Soul Eater. She's a raging workaholic, he's a slacker, but they make a great team. And the story starts off with them almost accomplishing their goal, which would have been kind of anticlimactic, but thankfully the plot had to plot, so it didn't work out that way. Next, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Black Star, and Tsubaki. Black Star. Like, y'all already know what I'm about to say about Black Star, but anyway, Black Star is without question and is proof that being loud enough can count as a personality trait. And if you want to surpass God, who cares if you're loud? My guy is such an amazing character from start to finish. And don't get me wrong, at first you really don't get it. You think he's kind of annoying, but then after a while, yeah, it clicks. It clicks, the character development, what he is, everything is so infectious. He is such an amazing character from start to finish. Me and this household, we rep Black Stars to this day, bro.
To this day,
bro. Oh my God, Black Star is so cool. And to balance out his crazy, you have Tsubaki, an incredibly patient, so patient, and capable weapon. She can transform into multiple ninja weapons from chain sights to smoke bombs into a demon sword. She's the best thing that ever happened to Black Star, because I don't know anyone else who could put up with his energy in that series to match his freak. I don't know, maybe freak's not the right word, but you get what I'm saying. Like, he's a lot, but like in the most positive way. But at the same time, I couldn't do it from like a real world perspective. There is no way I could hang out with a Black Star. He would drain my social battery in like 3 seconds. But still, from like a third person watching through the screen kind of thing, super cool guy. Followed up by Death the Kid and the Thompson sisters. Imagine being so obsessed with symmetry that it actually ruins your life. Because if you did, your life would be the son of Death himself, which is a crazy epithet, by the way. Imagine this guy introduces himself and is just like, hey, I'm Death the Kid, son of Death. That's hard. That's hard. You can't convince me that that is not the most intimidating way to introduce yourself of all time, bro. Like, this man walks into a room and you just kind of like, that's the son of Death. You're like, oh no, I'm gonna die. You get what I'm saying. And being the son of Death makes him incredibly powerful. Go figure. But this power is offset by his extreme obsessively organized behavior, being absolutely obsessed with symmetry. And when it comes to his weapon, you would think the son of the Grim Reaper would have a scythe or something in that nature. Nah, X all of that. My boy is packing heat with his twin pistols, the Thompson sisters. First we have Liz, the older of the two and the more cynical. Then you have Patty, the younger and the goofier one. And I gotta admit, this man holds his guns in the most impossible way of all time. But when I tell you, this man, Death the Kid, holds his gun in the most sauciest ways, bro. Who does this? Look at this. Who holds his guns like that? Doesn't even make sense. Like, your pinkies would blow off. Who cares? It's so cool. Nobody cares, but it's so dumb, but it's so cool.
That's really dumb. But he's so cool! But that's so dumb!
Next, we have Lord Death in the DWMA. If your school principal was the actual Grim Reaper who talked like a cartoon character, I bet you pay attention in class. I would for sure. And that's the case for all the students of the DWMA. Not to mention, one of your professors is literally Frankenstein. Like, maybe it is the monster, but it's also like the professor. So both. It's an amalgamation of both, I guess. And while one of your teachers is Frankenstein, the other ones are a zombie and a mummy. Hands down, being a student at this school promises to literally never be boring. And finally, we get to these two. Yeesh. Medusa and Chrono. It's hard to describe these two. One is a trash can on fire with arrows at the top of it. The other is a trash can on fire with a black sword coming out, and there's a kid inside crying for help that also has a weird mixture of sadness and happiness on their face. With that in mind, you realize how hard it is to not look at these burning trash cans, mostly because of the main villains. One's not even really a villain, but like a victim of circumstance, but also kind of a villain. They're hard to describe. These two are hands down some of the most hard to look at, slightly disturbing mother-child dynamic in all of anime history. And that's saying something. They deserve a video dedicated to them on the long-term cycles of violence and the impact of neglectful parents and how that can affect your superpowered youth long-term. But I'm not the YouTuber to do that, so we gon' keep it pushing. Every character in Soul Eater oozes personality, which made their relationships and struggles hit harder. And thanks to the amazing animation for this show, you can really tell how hard them hits were. Look at how hard Black Star got hit during certain fights. Like, that boy was feeling everything. I remember the first time I watched Soul Eater, I used to think, man, why does this look so good? It's Bones. It's Studio Bones, that's why. The same studio behind Full Metal Alchemist, we'll be seeing you later, and My Hero Academia if you're into mid. That's right, I said it, My Mid Academia. I'll die on that hill. Man, that ending was, okay, you know what? Another time, another place, back on topic. Studio Bones gave Soul Eater its fluid fighting scenes, bright colors, signature stretchy yet sharp animation. It didn't just capture Ōkubo's style, it amplified it. And that's why even years later, Soul Eater looks really unique compared to a lot of anime of the time. Not to mention, the combination of jazz and Halloween for an aesthetic is such a unique thing even by today's standards. And that aesthetic even bled into the soundtrack to some extent. Paper Moon is a crazy opening, if we're just gonna be completely honest. I'd play it, but copyright scares me. But look it up and come back. Paper Moon is such a good opening if you haven't heard it in a while. And now that you heard it and came back, I'm glad you're here, we can actually talk about the story. Alright, picture this, a gothic Tim Burton fever dream of a city where the sun and moon have faces, and your classmates might turn into weapons at any given moment. That's Death the City, that's the DWMA. And that's where we meet our main cast, Maka, our scythe-wielding book-smart protagonist who wants to prove she's just as good, no, better than her dad, the world's worst womanizing death scythe. And who is helping her on this journey to be better than her dad? That would be Soul Eater, a scythe boy who says he's all about style but keeps accidentally catching feelings for Maka because of how earnest she is. And then there is the man that, I already said this, Black Star. Goat boy, goat man, bro, black freaking star, dog. Also, you literally have to say the star part. Like, I don't know, somehow figure it out. Say the star part though. Put respect on that man's name. At this point, he literally has the confidence of a shonen protagonist, but the skill of the guy who skipped training to monologue in front of a mirror. His partner, Tsubaki, deserves an award for her patience. And of course, we have Death the Kid, a rich goth kid with godlike powers who is obsessively organized. It's to such an extreme that if something isn't symmetrical, he might have a breakdown instead of fighting. And his twin pistols, Liz and Patty, alternate between tough love big sisters to absolutely gremlins. You gotta love those two. The goal for all three parties is to simply defeat evil humans and collect their souls, turning their weapons into death scythes. I know some of them are guns and swords, but it's still called a death scythe. Don't think too hard on the terminology. It is a death scythe. Continuing. But, things start to unravel real quick. A witch named Medusa is creeping around, and unlike your average villain of the week, she's got plans. The kind of plans that involve resurrecting an ancient world-ending force of chaos, also known as the Asura, the first Kishin. And before you can say, oh, that's probably bad, things start spiraling into madness. Medusa manipulates Krona, her emotionally wrecked child, with a demon sword that talks and sets the whole school up for failure. And because of this event, the gang gets their first real taste of how dangerous this world actually is. And let's not forget Professor Stein, their new teacher, who honestly might be more unhinged than everybody else. But regardless of the teachers and the other situations, there's no turning back. Not when the world's literally about to be swallowed by chaos. They have to keep moving forward. This is where Soul Eater stops just being a fun, spooky action anime and starts gut-punching you when you least expect it. First off, Maka and Soul's partnership, it gets tested hard. After Soul nearly gets shattered in battle, he starts dealing with this thing inside of him, specifically a little demon in a little nice tux. He got that shit on. And this little demon whispers sweet nothing about the power of madness. And for a guy who wants to be cool, like Soul, this temptation is so apparent, it's so real, it's something he doesn't always reject. Meanwhile, Black Star faces his ultimate crisis. He isn't the strongest. He goes up against Mifune, a samurai who mops the floor with him twice, and this wrecks him as a person. The loudest, the most arrogant guy in the show suddenly has to ask himself, if I can't win, then who am I? Then we follow up with Death the Kid. He starts to see the bigger picture, and it's slanted. Symmetry alone isn't enough to balance the world, and maybe, just maybe, there's more to life than making sure your furniture is perfectly aligned. And then we get to Krona. Oh, sweet Krona.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa!
That's too damn bad!
The walking trauma response wrapped in a sad black dress. Their story is one of pain, a painful journey towards trusting Maka, towards believing that they deserve kindness. This is one of the most emotional raw arcs in the entire anime, because when you've been raised to believe you're worthless, that you exist only to be used, breaking free isn't just hard, it's terrifying. But they do break free, and that's what matters. Meanwhile, the Asura awakens, and the moment he does, the world tilts sideways. The big bad is here, and suddenly, everything is steeped in madness. But here's the kicker. The anime decides to go off script. Yeah, around this point, starts to stray from the manga and sprint towards an anime original ending. And let's just say this left people feeling a bit divided on the ending. So let's talk about that ending now. So the Asura, the physical embodiment of insanity, is on the loose. And despite all the struggles, all the training, and all the emotional battles, the final confrontation comes down to brute force. It comes down to Maka. Not Maka the fighter, not Maka the prodigy, but Maka the person who refuses to be swallowed by fear. The final battle against Asura is basically anime yelling in your face, madness wins when you stop believing in yourself. So Maka, our scythe-wielding, book-loving, socially awkward girl, stands up to pure insanity and decides, nah, I'm good. She literally punches the embodiment of madness in the face with the power of courage. Also, she gets scythes coming out of her body because, like, it's cool, I guess. It's poetic, it's bold, and it's controversial as all get out when it comes to endings. Because while it kind of works thematically, it also means the anime never gave us a true ending of the manga. And man, let me tell you, that final fight on the moon is insane. Black Star goes crazy. Kid goes crazy. Everybody goes crazy. Maka goes crazy. Krona goes crazy. The whole fight is insanity, and it's so good, and it just never got put to screen. Which is why fans have been screaming for a remake for over a decade. Soul Eater had everything. It had style, substance, and characters who grew in meaningful ways, but the anime, it left us hanging, and that, my friends, is a crime. So let me talk about why Soul Eater deserves a second chance. At first glance, Soul Eater looks like another shonen where people just punch each other until the plot moves forward. But underneath, it's all about fear, madness, and what it means to truly grow stronger. Power isn't just about brute force, it's about emotional wavelengths. It's about overcoming madness within yourself. And that's what makes Soul Eater deeper than it looks. And for me personally, one of my favorite quotes from this series is, "You're too young to embrace death. The strength you gain from a willingness to sacrifice your life is smaller than you think. Don't give up hope. Cling to life until the moment you die." And man, this hits so hard. I've always taken it as when you're young, enjoy life more. Cling to that life you've been given. And on a deeper look, and I might be looking into this a little bit too deeply, but it feels like Ōkubo's calling out the shonen genre itself. It seems like in every shonen anime and manga, the young main character is seemingly okay with throwing it all away to accomplish their goals, be it their own health or more drastically, their own lives. It's a message for the young to treasure their lives, a message that encourages you to hold on to hope and to keep fighting for life, no matter how difficult things get until the very end. It's about the importance of persistence and finding strength to keep going. And personally, I think that's such a cool message. But once again, I could be reading way too much into that and trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. Regardless, if it is that deep, I think it's a cool message. Okay, now that that's out the way, let's talk about some merch, baby. For a show this popular, Soul Eater got done dirty in the merch department. Sure, there were figures, shirts, and a few art books, but compared to the other shonen giants of the time, it's practically got nothing. When it comes to the video games, Japan got a couple, Soul Eater Monotone Princess and Soul Eater Battle Resonance, but the rest of us got left in the dust. Ain't nothing here for us, bro. We had to go somewhere else. I don't know where somewhere else is, but if you find it, please tell me so I could play some Soul Eater games. And something that also wasn't for us fans, I mean, okay, it was for fans, but I feel like it was for like a different kind of fans, was Soul Eater Knots, which took everything Soul Eater was and said, yo, what if we made this like a slice of life anime instead? Which, you know, I guess isn't bad if you were looking for that, but, you know, a lot of fans weren't. And honestly, they should have just animated the final arc. You still could have called it Soul Eater Knot, but like Soul Eater Knot the Moon arc or something related to the final arc. It would have been so great, and you just fumbled. And you know, that's okay. You can still come back. Look at Bleach. Bleach 1000 Year Blood War came back years after the manga was done, and it's getting a beautiful adaptation. Just come back, like one more time, please. I'm begging you. Animate the fight on the moon. That's all I need. So why did we get the anime-only ending? Well, it's a tale as old as time. The anime caught up to the manga, and unfortunately, production schedule is already set, so they had to just do something, and that sure does suck. Like, I'm just saying, if we got Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, why don't we get Soul Eater Sisterhood or something? And not to mention, with Fire Force being where it is currently, coming back recently with its newest season, this is the perfect time to start hinting towards a revival. So, we're getting into spoiler territory, so if you would like to leave, please do. Disappear until this timestamp. See it right here? It's on the screen right now. Look at this timestamp. Come back when this hits this number. You know how this works. I don't want to spoil you. It's really fun. It's really good, but just like, I need to do this. Okay, so if you're still here, how's your day going? Are you good? How's the kids? Okay. Enough stalling, whatever. All right, buckle up, because this is where things start to get weird. So the reason why Fire Force is so important, because Fire Force isn't just another shonen series. It's a prequel to Soul Eater. Yeah, like what? Fire Force is the world before Soul Eater. As the final Fire Force chapters unfold, we see the very birth of the Soul Eater universe. The once semi-grounded world with, pyrokinetic firefighters, ignore that part, morphs into a realm where madness, meisters, and this weird laughing moon exist. And then there's Excalibur, the talking, dancing, and completely unbearable legendary sword. Yeah, he gets to start here in Fire Force. And to understand why he's a Soul Eater and why he acts the way he does is because he's modeled after Arthur, and it's so crazy when they pop this out. I'm like, wait, no, that's Excalibur. He's been calling it the entire time, and it just makes sense, but you didn't draw the line until they showed the stupid moon, and it's so incredible. I'm just like, who could have saw this coming? Like, literally no one, because personally, I feel like he kind of pulled this reveal out of left field, and I'm okay with it, honestly, because literally there was like no real hints. I feel like maybe I missed them all. Maybe I'm just like not five-head enough to see all the connections he was drawing between Fire Force and Soul Eater before the reveal, but like, I was blown back when that moon popped up, and I was like, yo, no, this is Soul Eater. That's so crazy. It was so fun. Just seeing everyone's reaction in real time, fans of Fire Force manga. It was cool. So, next time you watch Soul Eater and wonder, man, this world is so weird. It used to be normal, sorta, if we ignore the pyrokinetics. But, it was normal until it wasn't. Okay, spoiler stuff done. Everyone who skipped to this part, I missed you guys. Are you back? You kids well? I don't know if you have kids or not. I hope they're good. Anyway, let's end this. So, closing thoughts. Will it happen? Will Soul Eater rise from the grave? Hard to say. But for one thing, it's not forgotten. Fans are still here. The world still has potential. And if Fire Force does the thing it needs to do, the hype for it will definitely be real. And if anime history has taught us anything, it's that great stories always have a chance to come back. So until that day comes, we'll keep waiting. Keep blasting Paper Moon and repping Black Star till the sun is down, boy. That man to this day, bro. Black Star to this day. So thanks for letting me check up on Soul Eater. Hope this video was fun and maybe you learned something interesting. If you want more, here are two super interesting videos you should check out. Look at these on screen right here. Super interesting. Okay, I can't. That's corny. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and all the fun stuff, and I will see you in the next one. I'm going to bed. Y'all take it easy. Later.